It's time now for the Newsmaker, in which a fearless commentator speaks out on the big stories of the day. The climate war rages on, with Greenpeace activists this week dousing Rishi Sunak's North Yorkshire home with oil-black fabric to protest against Britain drilling for oil and gas. Look, you know that stuff that we use to heat our homes and drive our cars? I want to know how they got there, by the way. I want to know how they got there. I just wonder how many fossil fuels were burnt in the process of them actually doing that. What were some of the things that they used to do that stunt made out of? Anyway, the group of demonstrators have been arrested, and the stunt has fuelled the debate on eco-warrior antics even further. With us to discuss this is the acclaimed political editor of Express Online, David Maddox. David, thank you very, very much. Look, great to have you on the show. Have you got any ideas in your back pocket as to how we can handle certain eco-numpties?
Well, I put around a call yesterday to a few of the Tory backbenchers after what happened, and they came up with some ideas. I think you were mentioning arming the police. I mean, the first response I got was, I'd have had them shot. Literally, it was obviously off the record, but it was making the point that had this happened to the US president's house, the chances are they would have been shot because it would have been deemed such a security threat. And I had another one who was saying it's time to prescribe these groups as terrorist organisations because they are attacking our infrastructure. They're literally putting lives at risk. They're stopping ambulances going to hospitals and so forth. So, that's a fair, I mean, obviously fairly extreme kind of reaction, but these are from MPs. These are, and I think it reflects that people have had enough of these fanatics, of our fanatics, our zealots.
David, let me just...
Between climate change and religion, but,
this is my big concern there, right? Which is exactly as you've mentioned there. Climate change religion, climate change fear. And what happens? You end up with a load of, I would argue, quite often, young people straight out of school, straight out of university. I have interviewed some of these people, and I can confirm that there are definitely some mental issues at play there, and they are vulnerable to certain things. Climate fear is one of those things. And if they seriously believe that the world is going to end for everybody within a matter of years, unless they act now, they view themselves as the saviours of the planet. And that legitimises any kind of action, including doing things like assassinating politicians, doing things like assassinating oil barons, doing things like letting bombs off, etc. And with every passing day, I worry, David, that we are getting closer to the big one.
Well, I mean, and it's always possible, and that's the problem. At the moment, there doesn't seem to be. At the moment, they seem to be kind of allegedly peaceful protests. But I would say, and I go back to this, blocking ambulances from going to hospital is not a peaceful protest in my view. And the fact that the police weren't arresting these people instantly worries me. It still worries me, actually. I mean, there was a story just, I think, last week with a woman trying to get her baby to hospital, and they wouldn't get out of the way for her, which I think was shocking. I think it's outrageous. So, we have to start understanding. There's a view of this thing that climate change, because it's climate change, it's nice and liberal, it's soft. There's always nice white middle class people. They're either elderly in their 60s and 70s, or they're these students. But, they just because they're well off and middle class does not mean that they shouldn't be treated as a threat to society.
You put one of those hats and a snazzy suit on them and give them an Italian-American accent, right? And they are the mafia. Yeah. They don't like what you're doing, so they're going to go round to your house where your family live at night, and they're going to go onto your roof. Oh, it would be a shame, wouldn't it, if we turned up at your wedding and ruined your wedding day. I mean, we are, seriously, I think, not so far away from a horse's head made out of kale being revealed from Rishi Sunak's bed at some point. This is where we are. I think you could easily class them as a prescribed terror group, mainly because, actually, it does fit the CPS definition. But go on, David.
Yeah, no, the only thing was I said, don't give him any ideas. That's all. I mean, I could just imagine somebody's trying to work out the horse's head and kale as he's trying. I will take that one. Thank you very much. You like killer.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, and I think that's where the frustration with the MPs and their frustration is coming from talking to their constituents, and it is outrageous what is going on. And really, I think actually the issue here is that the police have been given the powers to deal with it. They have now got to use those powers. They only used them on Coronation Day for obvious reasons.
Yeah, and it was great.
But they have now got to use those powers because otherwise things are going to get out of hand.
And you know what? And you know what? Seriously, what happened there? You're absolutely right to raise that point about Coronation Day. Was that day, or was it not better as a result of not having a load of Republicans there protesting and putting banners up and causing a hoo-ha and ruining the day? It was much better. And actually, it was over quite quickly, and the Met Police did a little apology afterwards. I know that people will say, well, that's a slippery slope towards tyranny. But you know what? I look at the tactics that some of these eco-nutters are using, and I think, so what? Get lifted, and we can apologise later if need be. David, thank you very, very much. David, Mad Dog, Maddox.